Welcome back to the episode of the DFS Express presented by Loudmouth MMA and MMAtoday.com. I'm your host, the Daily Fantasy Sniper, here to talk UFC 223. The main event is changed, but it is still a good one as Khabib the Eagle Nurmagomedov fights for the lightweight title against the current featherweight champion, stepping in on short notice, Max Holloway. Before we get to this episode of the Express, we'll cover every fight on this card, DraftKings specific. I usually do that in about 10 minutes. I'm going to take a quick kind of breather and timeout, couple exciting things that I want to fill you in on that I don't want to count against the time. First of all, I'll be at the event, UFC 223 at Barclays Center in Brooklyn. Please give me a follow on Twitter at the DFS Sniper. I'm going to be periscoping pretty much the whole time during the event. Doing the VIP experience, should have some behind the scenes stuff, should be a good time, some extra kind of content on Twitter as well as the weigh-ins on Friday, so please give me a follow on Twitter. With that, also on Friday, I will be the host. So my analysis will be mostly here and on Loudmouth MMA, but I'll be hosting the Fight IQ podcast. It is DraftKings specific, hosted, presented by RotoWire. The co-host for that will be Sun Tzu, who I'm sure a lot of you know very well as Chris Olsen. So if you don't follow those guys, please give them a follow. Sun Tzu and I will be at the event, as I mentioned, Friday and Saturday. Check out that podcast, more in-depth analysis, as mine will be. I'll keep this quick format for the Express, and then the overall betting analysis still over on the Loudmouth MMA channel, which you could be listening to that. If you're watching this on my YouTube page, please subscribe, like the video. If you're on Loudmouth MMA or MMA Today, please give me a follow on YouTube at the DFS Sniper. Now that we got all that out of the way, thank you for bearing with me. Let's get to this week and the fights. Khabib the Eagle Nurmagomedov 9,100, Max Holloway 7,100, and personally I think Max Holloway has signed up for a night of pain. Khabib was probably going to dismantle Tony Ferguson, but I thought Tony Ferguson at least had a shot in the fight. Khabib is going to take down Max. I know Max has the speed, and people say he has great takedown defense. His takedown defense is okay, but he hasn't fought anybody with any real takedown prowess as of late. Khabib is at the size advantage. We don't know how much Max Holloway is going to be slowed down by this huge weight cut he's facing. So I'm going to have Khabib almost for sure in cash games. I think I'll be all in on this fight in GPPs. I'll have a sprinkle of Max Holloway because the narrative, of course, then he would be the 145, 155 champ, setting up a super fight with Conor McGregor. And just sometimes those things have a funny way of happening. Analysis-wise, though, I have to pick Khabib. I think that's going to happen. I think he's the favorite. I'll have a little bit of Max Holloway in GPP just in case, but Khabib is the preferred play at 9,100. Joanna, former champion, Joanna Jędrzejczyk, 8,300 against Rose Namajunas, 7,900. Rematch where Namajunas knocked out Joanna in the first round. Last year, I started the week really heavy on Joanna, and I still think that's my play. I think I'm going to stack this game in cash, this fight in cash games, because it should be high output. Joanna has good takedown defense. She's shown people worry about the chin, but I think that was a result of the really bad weight cut. The problem is, and the reason I've swayed more on the Namajunas side recently, or at least giving her more of a shot, is that she's the most complete fighter Joanna has ever faced. Rose has decent striking, and she has a submission and grappling game. A lot of times, Joanna's opponents have been one-dimensional. I'm still picking Joanna. You have to love the output pace. It's a 115-pound women's fight. There's usually not a ton of finishes, so I'll be stacking it in cash games. And because it is a 5-round fight, I think, like the main event, this is a fight you really should be all in or near all in on in terms of your tournament exposure. Joanna, I'll stick with the pick, though, and she is my preferred play at 8,300. Calvin Kattar, 8,700. Renato Moicano, 7,500. Huge odds value in this fight for Moicano. The line could be about right now. I don't have it up right in front of me. At least pricing wise, I think this is a relatively close fight. Moicano's been in there with the better fighters. He's got a split decision win over Jeremy Stephens, who's been on a run. Calvin Kattar, he's got impressive wins. He knocked off Andre Feely and Shane Burgos. Moicano's, the win against Jeremy Stevens is big for me, and he was beating T City for 2 rounds until he shot a pressure. He was pressured, shot a desperation shot against Ortega and got guillotined. He was winning that fight until then. Should be a learning experience. I just think this fight is very close. 7,500 is a great discount on Moicano. I'm picking him to win actually a close decision. GPP, I won't have a ton of this fight because even though I'm thinking Moicano wins, it's probably a decision. I'm not sure how high scoring it will be, but Renato Moicano is my preferred play at 7,500. Michael Chiesa, 8,600. Anthony Pettis, 7,600. How the mighty have fallen. Anthony Pettis is on a slide. Michael Chiesa looking to bounce back from his loss to Kevin Lee. I'm going to go with Chiesa here, and that I think Pettis has showed he can be taken down. Really, Pettis' best shot to win here is with the sub. I think Chiesa is a good enough grappler to stay away from that and should dominate the ground and rack up some points, and we know grappling points score very well on DraftKings. My one hesitation here is that Pettis is the former great and former champion. You never know if he can have that flash. He appears to be on the downswing, though. I think the takedown defense and grappling proved to be his downfall here. Michael Chiesa is my preferred play at 8,600. Al Iaquinta, 8,200. Paul Felder, 8,000. This one hurts because I am a Long Islander. I'm going to go with Paul Felder. He keeps getting better and better each time out. Al Iaquinta, his only fight in the last, I think it's 3.5 years, is against Diego Sanchez, who's got no chin left. I worry about Iaquinta's motivation. Not about the paycheck. I'm glad he's holding out for what he thinks he deserves and obviously is worth because he got paid it. But he's got the real estate business, appears to be half in, half out of fighting. I think this is going to be a stand-up battle. I do think if he wanted to, Iaquinta could grapple and have some success here, but I think these guys are going to stand and trade. Felder has been beating up on lesser opponents here, but he's shown that improvement. I think this is a close fight. One I'm not going to target too heavily because I think it's reliant on a finish to score well, but my preferred play with a little bit of a discount will be Paul Felder at 8,000. Karolina Kowalkiewicz, 9,000. Felice Herrig, 7,200. This is one of my upset plays this week. I like Felice Herrig, especially in cash games. I don't think Karolina is going to finish her. So worst case, Herrig hangs around and scores some points, and you're kind of punting a spot, and you'll get some value out of that position. But I think Herrig is alive here to win the fight. It's not a super confident pick, but I think she has enough to mix it up against Kowalkiewicz. I think she's got decent striking. I think Karolina is probably a little bit better, but I think Herrig can close the distance. I think she'll be stronger, get her in the clinch, maybe get a takedown or two. We've seen Karolina can be exposed in the ground. Gedalia is a different beast than Herrig, but Gedalia and Herrig are good friends. Nope, I mixed that up. Sorry. Felice Herrig is good friends with Carla Esparza, who is a good grappler. So I do think Herrig, if she makes this fight dirty, can rely on the grappling, and really just I'm not going to pay 9,000 for Karolina Kowalkiewicz. If it was a 5-round fight like the co-main, I would think about it. Here, though, Felice Herrig is my preferred play at 7,200. Ray Borg, 9,200. Brandon Moreno, 7,000. I think this is a sneaky GPP fight because a lot of people are going to pay up for it because you have Habib, who's 100 less than Ray Borg, and 300 more than Ray Borg is Zabit Magomedsharipov. Borg, though, is grappling-based. You have to love grappling-based fighters for DraftKings. If he dominates Brandon Moreno, which I think he may, he could rack up the points, whereas Moreno showed he can catch some slick submissions. He's very tough. I think he's going to be a little outclassed here, but if he were to pull something off, he obviously would score very well at 7,000. Borg is my preferred play, though. I think he outgrapples Moreno and scores relatively well in that price range for 9,200. Joe Lozon, 8,900. Chris Grutzmacher, 7,300. Definition of a GPP fight here as well. Joe Lozon is going to blitz you. He's going to get a first-round finish, or he's probably going to get finished or outworked for a decision. He's had some questionable decisions. He could be on a really big slide if it wasn't for that questionable decision win that he admitted was questionable against, I believe it was Marcin Held. Chris Grutzmacher is not very good, but he is tough as nails. If he can survive that early onslaught, which he's shown the ability to do, he could out-grapple and outwork Lozon late in the fight. This is kind of a toss-up for me. I'm a Lozon fan. I'm going to make him my preferred play, although Gritzmacher is certainly viable for GPPs. I'm going to hope Lozon can get that quick blitz. He is a tournament play only, but he's the preferred one at 8,900. Olivier Aubin-Mercier, 8,100. Evan Dunham, 8,100. I think I'm on the opposite side of most people for this fight. I'm going to take OAM. I think he's the better grappler. I can't see Evan Dunham, who shows a tendency to grapple as well. I don't think they're going to stay at range. I think OAM is freakishly strong, and I think he gets a decision here. It may not be terribly high scoring because it could be lay and pray. We've seen OAM do that before, but he also has plenty of submissions. Dunham is active off his back. If it goes down there could be some scrambles in this one. I like OAM to win a grappling-based fight, a close fight, but he's my preferred play at 8,100. Alex Caceres, 8,500. Artem Lobov, 7,700. Two guys I want no part of. This is a weird fight. I don't really know how to handicap it. Neither one of them are that good. Lobov has more power, so for that reason, he's my preferred GPP play. Caceres is unreliable, so is Lobov. Caceres, if he shoots takedowns, probably get Lobov down because he can't stop anything. Lobov is awkward and has power in his hands, so I'm not super confident in this fight. This is one of those, there's tons of variables in it. Forced to make a pick, I'm going to take the savings, the cheaper play, and the one with more knockout potential in Artem Lobov at 7,700. Ashley Evans Smith, 8,800. Beck Rawlings, 7,400. Ashley Evans Smith opened as about a minus 200 favorite. That is insane. Insane to me. I know Beck Rawlings is bad. So is Ashley Evans Smith. This fight should be a gross pick'em. I'll take the savings on Beck Rawlings. At least she's aggressive. I know there's going to be output. I don't think AES is going to finish her, so you can get some points there. Beck Rawlings is a viable punt in cash games. I think I prefer Herrig. And at her price, she's in play in tournaments because I think she's got a real shot to win this fight. I don't think the price or the lines was right, but kind of you have to measure your risk here because I'm recommending and picking a fighter who I understand is not good. But 7,400, I think there's value there, so she's the preferred play. Devin Clark, 8,400. Mike Rodriguez, 7,800. I like Mike Rodriguez a lot this week, coming off a knockout win on the Dana White Tuesday Night Contender Series. Strong kickboxer, but he has some good counter wrestling. He also has a number of, if you look back at his reel, a number of flying knee knockouts, guys trying to close the distance and shoot on him. He times the knee very well. Devin Clark's going to look to wrestle here, but he's been knocked out by Alex Nicholson, who's got no wrestling. He couldn't close the distance. I think Clark needs some more polishing. I don't think his stand-up is very good. I think Mike Rodriguez is enough counter wrestling and is the way better striker to cause a lot of problems here. So Rodriguez is my preferred play at 7,800. I'll have some of Clark in GPPs because if he wins, it probably will be grappling based because he is able to get the takedown. But I like Mike Rodriguez straight up at 7,800. Zabit Magomedsharipov, 7,500. Kyle Bochniak, 6,700. Bochniak he's a disaster for DraftKings. He makes fights ugly. I picked against the guy. He finds ways to win. Credit to him, but man, he's not fun to watch. Getting the job done. I'm hoping Zabit has been a scoring just machine on DraftKings. Can kind of just do whatever he wants in there. He's going to be much bigger. He should be able to dominate wherever he wants. It's just a matter of, is Bochniak able to make it one of those ugly, slow fights that he's shown the tendency to make fights. And if he falls into that, if Zabit falls into that, there's no way he can make value at 9,500. He has to score at least 100 points. I think he does. He's clearly my preferred play because I can't rely on the output of Bochniak. I wouldn't go all in, though, on Zabit because he's got to score a ton of points. Like I said, Bochniak can make them low scoring. That being said, Zabit's probably the safest play on the card. Assuming Bochniak doesn't burn us again, I will have Magomedsharipov at 9,500. Okay, guys, I have to do a quick outro for this episode because I am right up against the YouTube time limit. All those great content sources I mentioned in the beginning, please give them support, subscribe, like, follow. Really appreciate it. I will do a tournament builder like I usually do on these episodes. It will be on my YouTube channel. It is up right now. Please check it out. Good luck in your contest. I will see you next week.